My fault. Okay, you ready? Tell me when you're ready. Okay.
And Jessica. He can get something different for her hair. She can't get it. She has.
Said I get set the plane. So.
Maybe.
Glasses on.
Good. Call to order the meeting, if you would rise for pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Sorry. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Here.
Latari. Here. Jones.
Here.
Euler.
Here. Approval of city council minutes. Move to approve.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes. Adoption of agenda.
Motion to approve as presented.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari. Yes. Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proclamation for Small Business Saturday, November 30th, 2024. Who's here for the proclamation? Who would like?
Thank you.
When there's a main street in the chamber board.
Okay. I see you all every week somewhere, so it's very active with Scoot on across here a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Small Business Saturday, November 30th, 2024 proclamation. Whereas November 30th, 2024 is Small Business Saturday and offers a day to celebrate small businesses and all they do for our community. And whereas consumers who choose to shop at local small businesses directly and significantly contribute to the strength and vitality of Warrensburg's local economies and help support the continued economic growth and prosperity of our communities. And whereas Warrensburg's community of small business owners are pivotal to the economic future as the drivers of innovation and job creation and represent the very essence of the American dream, as well as the time-honored ideals of hard work and individual responsibility. And whereas the city, Chamber of Commerce, Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Main Street collaboratively promote Love What's Local to educate and encourage local residents to purchase local goods and use local services. And whereas the 2024 campaign message for Love What's Local is Shop Small Saturday. It is a reminder that shopping small skips shipping costs and delayed deliveries, all while supporting our community. Now, therefore, I, Bruce C. Euler, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of Warrensburg, do hereby proclaim November 30, 2024 as Small Business Saturday and urge citizens to support our local businesses that create jobs and boost our economy. Dated this 12th day of November, 2024. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 6, a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning a portion of 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 Low Density Multifamily Residence District to GB General Business District, presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. You have in your packet several maps of this property. For the audience, this is the property at the northeast corner of McGuire Street and Blake Anthony Drive. And currently, there's a single family house on it, and a detached accessory building that had a beauty shop in it for a number of years. And then, but the land actually extends all the way east, and is adjacent to duplexes along Larkin Court. So it is currently zoned 2 different zones. The east half is zoned R3, low density multifamily, and the west half is zoned GB general business. And this request is to rezone and move that internal line between the GB and the R3 and move it east 36 feet. So the developer has an intent to develop the west side, the frontage along McGuire Street, to do that hard corner with storage units, and then to do the east half with a new street and have duplex lots on it. And so the east half would still be R3 with duplexes, and the west half general business with the storage units. But that current line between the 2 districts runs through that detached accessory building where the beauty shop was. So the building itself has 2 different zoning districts on it. And they're wanting to move it 36. This request would move it 36 feet to the east, rezone that 36 feet from R3 to general business, so that that building could be used for the storage unit side of the property. And that would would get it outside of the building and give it the 30-foot setback from an R3 district that it requires. So the request is not to rezone the whole property, but just the 36-foot strip from north to south from R3 to GB. And so there are a couple maps in the packet that show that strip of land in a red outline and what the request is. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this request last week at their meeting and voted to recommend approval for the reasons outlined in the staff report. Property owners within 300 feet of the whole property, not just the strip, but 300 feet of the whole property, were notified of the public hearing before City Council and before the meeting before the Planning and Zoning Commission. And as of the writing of this report and today, staff has not received any public comment. So staff would recommend approval of the ordinance as presented. I know the surveyors and the developer owner is here if you have questions of them.
No questions.
Questions? Thank you.
So we have to close this and then open the next.
We're going to close that public hearing. Item 6.2, public hearing on an ordinance amending section 27-240E2 regarding solar energy systems. Presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development.
In 2013, the city of Warrensburg adopted regulations for the installation of solar energy systems in the city of Warrensburg, both at homes, businesses, wherever. And that has, particularly the solar energy systems in residential applications, has increased in the last few years. One of the requirements that we made in 2013 was that there not be any visible exterior plumbing or electrical lines on the front of the structure. So on that front facade of a house or a residential structure. And what we have found in practice, particularly as these programs have become more popular in the last few years, is that Evergy has a requirement that those lines tie into the meter within a certain distance. And we have older homes where the meters are already on the front of these buildings. And they can't meet that spacing requirement for Evergy and keep them off the front of the building to make the city happy. So then they're just not able to put these systems in. So staff, Kristen, our city planner, requested this be considered by council and drafted this ordinance, which would allow those conduits to be on the front of the facade in order, if necessary, to meet the spacing requirements of Evergy for a meter that's already on the front of a structure. For new houses, new construction, when they're going in and the meter is on the side or the rear, this isn't going to apply. They're already able to do that. We also have in our ordinance already that the lines must be painted to match the wall that they're being attached to. And so it should still minimize the visible impacts on the neighborhood. So staff has prepared the ordinance. Planning and Zoning Commission considered it at their meeting last week, recommended approval. I don't think they had any questions on it. So be happy to answer any questions.
No question here.
Questions, Ben?
And there was no one signed up.
Okay, thank you. Close that public hearing. Item 7, first and second reading ordinance. An ordinance rezoning a portion of 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 low-density multifamily residences district to GB General Business District, presented by Barbara Carroll. Director.
Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
No questions. Thank you, Barbara. Need a motion?
Yeah, motion to move to second reading by title.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance rezoning a portion of 1035 South McGuire Street from R3 Low Density Multifamily Residence District to GB General Business District. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, an ordinance amending section 27-240 E2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg regarding placement of solar energy systems, presented by Barbara Carroll, Director of Community Development. Any questions?
Motion to move to second reading by title.
Thank you. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance amending section 27-240 E2 of the Code of City Ordinances of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri regarding placement of solar energy systems. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
8.1, a resolution approving the preliminary plat of Mercado's Corner, a subdivision located at 1035 South McGuire Street in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, presented by Barbara Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a development. Wait. Yeah, sorry, I moved on to a different one in my head. Okay. You have the next two items are both the same project related to the rezoning you just did. There's both a preliminary plat and a final plat in front of you this evening. The preliminary plat would be approved by a resolution. It does not get recorded. It is just approved by resolution and stays on file with the city. The final plat, the next item on your agenda, that is one that will get recorded. And so it is approved by ordinance. So that's why you have one as a resolution and one as an ordinance. The development is the same across both the preliminary and the final, and there are no phases to this preliminary plat. Sometimes you see that. This is all in one final plat, so there are not future phases to this. And then the reason sometimes we just come before you with just one action, but that's a minor plat. And a minor plat, by definition, has to be 3 or fewer lots created and no new right of way. So this didn't qualify for that. That's why you have both a preliminary and a final, and you're seeing them on the same night because we're not spacing them out in time with phases and things like that. So it's a little risk to the developer to do it this way, but felt the risk was pretty minimal with with this size of a project. So the overall development is the same across both the preliminary and the final. There are slightly different staff conditions for each because the documents had different legalese and different language on them. But the idea is the same, where the west side is one large lot for storage units. And then the east side is a new street to go north from Lake Anthony, a cul-de-sac that would be called Therese Place. And there are 6 duplex lots that front on that new street. And then there are in this development 2 storm water detention tracts. Those would not be owned by the city. Those would be owned by the developer or homeowners association. So one of those tracts is fronts on that new street on the duplex side. And one of them, tract B, is right in the corner of McGuire and Blake Anthony on the storage unit side. So the preliminary plat is creating 7 buildable lots, 2 stormwater detention tracts, 1 new street, and covers approximately 4.72 acres. Portion would be zoned general business, portion would be zoned R3. There are no special conditions or features that require an exception to the subdivision regulations, and all the lots meet the minimum standards for the zoning district in which they are. Staff recommends approval of the resolution, which incorporates the 3 conditions that planning and zoning had with their approval last week. So planning and zoning looked at this last week, recommended approval with 3 conditions. Those conditions have been incorporated into the resolution. And 2 of those will get shown on the drawing itself. And 1 is a stipulation about when the sidewalk needs to be built. So staff would recommend approval of the resolution and happy to answer any questions.
No question.
Questions, Susie? Questions? No? Okay.
Motion
Resolution.
to approve resolution.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good thing you're not leaving, Barbara, because we got you again.
I'm here. Yeah.
9.1, an ordinance approving and accepting the final plat of Mercado's Corner, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1035 South McGuire Street, presented by Barbara Carroll.
This is the same project, same concept. This is the final plat. The last item on your agenda related to this project. This is the one that would get recorded. So planning and zoning considered this at their meeting last week. And there were 5 conditions that they recommended approval with. Those have been incorporated into the ordinance. 4 of those will require changes to the actual plat document. And then we still have that one regarding the timing of the sidewalk construction. Happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, staff would recommend approval of the ordinance as presented.
No question.
Motion, please.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance approving and accepting the final plat of Mercado's Corner, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1035 South McGuire Street. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow, a new speaker, fantastic. All right. Item 9.2, an ordinance authorizing the city manager and the city clerk to accept a proposal with Burns and McDonnell for engineering design services related to the safety action plan and demonstration project presented by Phil Adlich, interim director of public works.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I just do this thing to get Barbara.
It's a short break.
It is a short break, so I can come back, but. So, a little bit of history. At the beginning of the McGuire Street project, we went out for a City Street for All grant. And we did that back in July of 23. We awarded the grant in April of 2024. Since then, we've been working on, we sent out RFQs to get engineers on board and design these projects. And so we got them on board sometime, not that long ago. Well, we'll get them on board today, sorry, my mistake, hopefully. So we received multiple responses and we chose Burns McDonald to do the engineering for us. What we're recommending, they're going to provide design services for a safety action plan. When it was first proposed, it was along McGuire, but this project can be the whole city. So we're hoping to do this. The main issue or benefit of doing this is that we get a better chance of getting future safety grants from Department of Transportation in the future. So this is the main reason that we're asking that this be passed, so that Burns McDonald can come in here and help us with the design of the safety, provide design service of safety action plan and demonstration projects, temporary demonstration projects. The implementation, or the city would fund $70,000 out of the general fund with a $280,000 out of the grant. The allocations were $250,000 for engineering and then $100,000 for the implementation of the temporary safety, so that we can study them and get results back and get what they recommend for the future. So with the gateway to McGuire coming up, this would be a great grant to get on books, so that can help us secure funding for that in the future. Staff recommends the approval of this. Any questions?
Just to be clear, the safety plan will be for all of town or?
So it'll be for a portion of town.
Okay.
We only have so much money,
Sure.
so the engineers will help us choose and pick where we best decide to use that.
Or it can make the most impact to increase
Exactly.
safety for the most people, yeah. And so I'm reading through their very wordy, but very thorough proposal. It looks like the thing they're suggesting is along both Holden and McGuire, temporary bike lanes and then a temporary median on McGuire.
So remember, this was done whenever it started and no work was being done. The McGuire corridor project it's been a guaranteed maximum price.
Right,
So we're pursuing this so that we can cover other areas, not so much on McGuire. They presented a packet from the grant that was written, but we can use that grant other places because it's not tied to just McGuire funds.
right, yeah, nice.
This is
So-
going to help us in the future, and this is why we're pursuing this
Great.
grant.
I really like the idea of a demonstration project to kind of
We will
see.
have demonstration projects, but it might not be exactly what
Right,
was
might be
presented
those,
in
not
that.
might be, those, but, okay.
So,
I
That's
do
great.
have one question. In the very light reading of all those documents
Yeah.
and that, I noticed that Enrico was referenced as a contact.
Does that mean we get to Kevin back? Yeah.
well, you can
No.
Call them and ask them, but
Well, I mean, just knowing from a legal standpoint, do we need to change that? Does that need to be amended? What steps are any steps
so
necessary?
the request for qualifications we sent out as, I actually had Patty, who was the budget administrator in my department, and she's the one who wrote up the RFQ, so. It's a little-
I mean, so it doesn't need to be changed. Okay. That's my only question. Thank you.
And this program is called the Safe Streets for All program.
And project administration. It's a long name, whatever. Safety action plan and demonstration project.
It's a very long title. Safe Streets and Roads for All Safety Action Plan and Demonstration Project.
Yes.
Great.
But
So-
yes, it's under the Federal Highway Administration's Safe Streets for All grant program.
Okay. All right. It's been around for a while, hasn't it? Didn't
Yeah.
Springfield do something? And they were highlighted in,
Didn't follow up with what Springfield has formed, but it has been.
because it
all over
sounded
the state.
familiar when I read it.
It's
Okay.
all over the state.
And
So.
when will
we're-
you know where the demonstrations are going to be at?
We're getting the engineers on board, and then we're gonna give them a period of time to help us design where we want stuff and where they recommend that we concentrate on.
Okay, so a few months before we know.
Yeah,
Okay,
especially with Christmas coming up too.
right. Perfect. Thank you.
We appreciate the work on the grant. We love grants, so.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
No.
Phil, all right.
Motion to move to second reading by title only.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari? Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager and the city clerk to accept a proposal with Burns and McDonnell for engineering design services related to the Safety Action Plan and Demonstration Project. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 9.3, probably Barb Carroll's, my gosh. An ordinance approving and accepting the minor plat of Goth Addition, a subdivision of the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1007 Deer Run. Barbara Carroll.
This one is a minor plat because we're going from 2 lots down to 1 lot. It's a lot combination and no new right of way is involved. This is a minor plat for a house and the lot next to the house. So the house is currently at 1007 Deer Run. It's on a corner. And Chris and Rebecca Goth own that property and live there. And then to the east, so behind the house, but to the east is another lot. And they own that lot and they want to build a detached accessory building, a garage storage building on that lot. But it is a separate lot and a garage storage building is not an allowed primary use, principal use of a lot in their zoning in the R1 single family zoning district. So in order to be allowed to build it, it needs to be an accessory use to a primary use. The house is an allowed primary use, but it's on a different lot. So when they combine the lots into 1 lot, he'll have his existing house as his principal use, and then he can have a detached accessory building, the storage building that what he wants to have. So this will combine 2 lots into 1 lot. The zoning district is staying the same. There will be a structure built as a result of this on that east side of the house, and likely will have a driveway out to Deer Run. The current driveway is on the other side, like the front, because Deer Run curves, but it doesn't change street names. And so there will be a driveway on the west side of the property and then a driveway on the south side of the property. And I think
And a sidewalk across the
sidewalk would be required along, so there's already a sidewalk where the house is built on Deer Run, where this plat will require the sidewalk on the east side. So when that structure pulls a permit, then they'd be required to build a sidewalk for that detached accessory building when they build on that lot.
Perfect.
Well, that happened, the new lot. Any other questions? Planning and zoning considered this at their meeting on November 4th and recommended approval with 1 condition, and that has been incorporated in the ordinance that you have in front of you.
Thank you. Motion, please.
Motion to move to second reading by title.
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
This is for, I'm sorry, an ordinance approving and accepting the minor plat of Goth Addition, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1007 Deer Run. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 9.4, an ordinance approving and accepting the final plat of Copper Ridge. First plat, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1015 East Hale Lake Road, presented by Barbara Carroll, I think.
Are you sure?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first phase of the final plat for the first phase of the Copper Ridge subdivision. You approved, city council approved the preliminary plat for this entire subdivision, which is 149 lots, in November of 2021. You did that by resolution in November of 2021. There is work going on in the field. If you have driven down Hill Lake Road on the north side, they are between, they're down a little ways, but Alkire is the closest intersecting street. And then between them and where Dwayne Jackson lives, actually. So this phase fronts on Hale Lake Road and incorporates 33 of the lots of that original 149. So this is just the first phase. There will be other phases to come in the future. You have a layout in your packet. You have the final plat, which shows the layout of those 33 lots, as well as a couple tracks. Tract A is for stormwater detention, and tract C, because there's another B, but it's in a different phase. So tract C, which is for a sign, a subdivision entrance sign in the median at the intersection of Copper Ridge Drive and Hale Lake Road. So these are for single family lots. At the moment, this phase has only 1 point of ingress egress, and the fire code there limits them to 30 units on 1 point of ingress egress. So they can plat 33 lots, but we will only issue building permits for 30 of those lots. And then the other 3 will not be able to issue permits for until a second ingress egress point is provided. In a future phase to the north, there are a couple options for that were contemplated in the preliminary plat. And you have in your packet all 4 pages of the original preliminary plat. The first page of that shows the whole, that sheet 1 of 4 shows all 149 lots, kind of the big picture of it. So that would be the page to focus on if you want to see the whole concept of the whole subdivision. So when you look at that map, you can see that there are a couple options for a second point of ingress egress into the subdivision. One of those is Eli. Am I gonna get that right? Sorry, it's really tiny. No, Cedar Drive. So Cedar Drive, which would extend. When you look at that preliminary plat, it is stubbed out. It's not a cul-de-sac, okay? It's a stubbed out street because it could extend across existing vacant property and connect into Cedar Drive that already comes off Mitchell Street. And there are some maps in there, aerial photos that show your existing Cedar Drive to the west, and it stubs out. There's one property in between, and then this property starts with a stubbed out street. So that future street could connect. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the surveyor, Kevin Sterrett, indicated conversations have happened with that intervening property owner, and that is probably the most likely option that we will see come forward in the next few years as this project, Copper Ridge, approaches phase 2. Then you would see, we're likely to see that second other project on the vacant property come forward as well. The other option, which is less likely, but does exist, is Copper Ridge Drive is also stubbed out in the preliminary plat, and the fire department has agreed they would accept a recorded easement across that property from the school district if ever that was put into place for a fire apparatus access road. That is between the developer and the school district, if that would ever happen. But if it did, then we have provided the standards by which we would accept that as a secondary means of ingress egress. Okay, let's see what else we should talk about. Currently, the property is zoned RMH, which is residential manufactured housing. And technically, these lots do meet the standards for an RMH zoning district. But you would not likely see that, and they have submitted an application to have the property rezoned to R1 single family residential, and the lots more accurately meet those standards. And that would come forward, that's been submitted and is being prepped for your December council meeting. So you will have that in front of you in December.
So, so right now it's zoned, mobile homes.
Yep. The Swishers had it zoned for mobile home. And you can see that in the zoning information that's in the packet.
Okay, I guess I missed that.
Yeah, it is zoned for,
Cause I was gonna ask, these are gonna be single family homes
their intent is to build single family homes.
and do we have an idea? Are these gonna be like Brookside? Cause they kind of back up to, is it Brookside that they back up to?
Brookside backs up, yeah, they have a row of houses that back up to,
So are these gonna be
Ridgeview
like
Drive, and
Brookside
so
houses or?
there will be one, two, about 12 lots that will back up to Hill Lake Road. They will not be allowed to have driveways off Hill Lake Road, so they'll front onto the internal street network. Which looks like EV Avenue and EV Court. And one other thing I would draw your attention to, just so there's not confusion in the future. MoDOT did not require, and therefore city did not require a sidewalk along Hill Lake Road on the north side because of the trail that exists on the south side. So you will not see those improvements.
But there's sidewalks inside the.
Yes, there are sidewalks on
subdivision.
the internal street network, so you would have a sidewalk on both sides of Copper Ridge. Are being shown, and then one side of the local streets extending fully around the cul-de-sacs, which is our standard design. Planning and Zoning Commission considered this at their meeting last week and recommended approval with looks like 9 conditions. Only a couple of those require changes to this actual document. Others will dictate other specs or reports or things that need to be submitted prior to recording, but they don't change the layout of the lots. So it's appropriate to still review those or approve those. And the developers are here if you have questions of them. Rick Fry and Leo Costas are the developers.
So we're sure it's going to be changed from mobile homes to residential one.
They have for sure applied for that, and staff will recommend an approval of that. But Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council will need to have a public hearing and act on that. So I can't say it's for sure, no.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
I was gonna ask, what is considered affordable housing and will any of these be affordable housing? What's the price range for an affordable house? Does anybody know?
I don't know that off the
I
top
don't
of my
know that
head.
either.
I'm sure they can tell you what price range they're looking to hit with their construction though.
Well, actually, according to our, the other city managers that we have, affordable housing, was about $235,000. Which, in our field, there's no way we can build a house for that. Just from the structure, what the ground cost is, what our expenses were. So that's what her explanation, that was her research done, and that's what affordable housing is. But these houses will probably be, on this first phase, probably starting off into 325 to 425, somewhere around there.
Thank you.
It's my guess. Once a builder buys a lot, then, you know, they're at the mercy of what their costs are and what they have to have on them.
And I agree, 235 can't be an affordable house.
Yeah, well,
I,
I don't think it can be built in that subdivision.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how anybody could afford, if you need affordable housing, I don't know how you can afford that. No other questions?
I have a question not related actually to this specifically, but in general. The tree board years ago set up some recommended trees for developers to plant.
Hmm.
Is that something that's still referenced when homes are being developed, plots are being developed for property that?
That was for parking lots. So we don't have a requirement of one tree per house or anything like that. So we do still have that recommended trees.
Kind of a
adjacent to
recommended
parking
tree
lots or something.
list,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, we have there's two lists actually, but one of them is just recommended for the area, but there's no that the tree board adopted, but there's not an ordinance that requires a tree generally anywhere. We do have ordinance that requires standard trees related to parking lots
Right.
or screening parking lots adjacent to residential.
Gotcha.
So the second list they adopted is the list we refer people to for that requirement. But just for like this, where there's no parking lot, we don't have a landscape requirement.
Okay. Just be interested in pursuing that in the future, just to make sure that we don't continue to plant invasive calorie pears and other things that developers often tend to like.
Because they're pretty.
Thank you.
No other questions from me.
Motion to move to second reading by title?
Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
An ordinance approving and accepting the final plat of Copper Ridge First Plat, a subdivision in the city of Warrensburg, Missouri, located at 1015 East Hale Lake Road. This is for adoption or rejection. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item 10.1, resolution approving placement of a dandelion mural on city-owned building at the intersection of Colton Street and Washington Street. Resolution of the council of the city of Warrensburg approving a dandelion mural on the city-owned building at the intersection of Colton Street and Washington Street. Presented by Marcy Barnhart, Jamie, city staff liaison, Warrensburg Arts Commission. Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight before you, you do have a resolution for the placement of public art on the city-owned building at the intersection of Colton and Washington Street. The Warrensburg Main Street is proposing a mural to be placed on the west wall remaining of the building. You're familiar with that building currently. The mural will replace the remaining, the 1440 clock project.
The clock project.
The clock project on that wall. Warrensburg Main Street will work with the artist for the placement and be responsible for maintenance. Main Street will also provide the city of Warrensburg with a detailed plan and a timeline for installation. The Warrensburg Arts Commission did receive the plan and they did approve it at their September 16th meeting. The proposed design and information were included in your packet for review. I'm going to turn the floor over to Jamie DeBacker, Warrensburg Main Street, that can talk to you a little bit about the mural.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Yes, our art committee put out a project that we were trying to add another mural into downtown. So we put out a bid for artists for what we called our selfie trail that we created in 2020 to add little pops of color. So this will actually have another part to it, but we'll have two local artists who will be working with us. I did speak with the previous city manager before presenting this because since that mural has been there for the clock project, but obviously is only half of a mural now. We wanted to make that opportunity to start to really rejuve and revive Washington is what we are calling it. So our board will work with volunteers and our a design committee to power wash and then paint over the current mural, which will be a nice white. And then we'll also decide where there are some graffiti. And then we'll work with the local artists to provide, this one will be a dandelion, so it'll look like you can either blow it or hold the dandelion. So just add lots of color to it.
If you need some dandelions, you can come to my yard too. So.
Are there any questions?
Questions, Eddie? Nope. Nope. Appreciate that work. That's fantastic.
We appreciate our Warrensburg Main Street folks.
Yep. Resolution.
Move to pass resolution.
Motion to approve resolution is presented. Sorry, did you already did it?
He did. Kushner made the motion, so I'll ask for the vote. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 10.2, a resolution of the Council of City of Warrensburg approving a quote mural on the city-owned building at the intersection of Colton Street and Washington Street, presented by Marcy and Jamie.
Good evening. So we're back again. We're gonna see how Barb feels for just a moment. Before you, Jamie just mentioned that there are two different art pieces planned for that wall. It's two different resolutions because you have two different artists, two different agreements, okay? So this is the second piece that will be included on that wall, same location. Warrensburg Main Street, again, is proposing the mural to replace the clock project. They will work with the artist for the placement and be responsible for maintenance. Warrensburg Arts Commission did receive and approve the project at their September 16th meeting. I'd invite Jamie again to speak about this.
Good evening again. This artist, we did have the two talking. So one of the conversations that we had at the art commission's meeting is if they would blend well together, since there are two different artists and sometimes styles are different. So those two, if approved, then we'll be working together to make sure color palettes work together. But we think that that wall is so large that it can just add a nice little positive motion with the quote that we put on there, which is alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So.
Are there any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve resolution as presented.
Thank you. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Euler.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's gonna be me. I'm not ready. Go ahead.
Item 10.3, a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application for the Missouri Secretary of State Local Records Fiscal Year 26 Grant Program by the Council of the City of Warrensburg, Missouri, presented by Jody L. Schneider, City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This is a grant application that was brought to you last year and the year before. It's one that's offered annually by the Secretary of State. It's a local records grant program. And within it for this year's application, I plan to present to them an application to have a local vendor scan, or as local as possible, scan our CIP plans, our capital improvement project plans, which are, I don't know the exact dimensions, but they're large and they sit in a large file cabinet flat. Something that I can't do with the desktop scanners. We could possibly do them internally, but it would take a very long time. So hiring a vendor to do the project is the ideal solution. Those I'm not sure that they're anywhere. I think they're only physically available here. And in the wake of our tornadic activity and things that can happen, just emergency services or emergency situations, it's best to get these items scanned. So I would like authorization to apply for this grant. I need to make clear to the Secretary of State that these are not items that can be run through a normal desktop scanner. They're very aware that we were presented the award a couple of years ago for software and scanners. And because it's a highly competitive grant, we actually last year did not receive any funds because they were in their mind thinking, hey, we just awarded you all of these things. You need to use this, what we gave you. So I obviously did not make it clear enough to them that these are those Mylar plans, and this year I would like to do that. So I'm asking again for your authorization to go out for the grant. It's reimbursable, but it's fully reimbursable. So we've put money aside in the FY25 budget for this project up to $15,000. determined to get this grant this year, so with your permission. Are there any questions that you might have?
Motion to approve resolution.
Okay, thank you. Kushner,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Latari,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Euler,
Yes.
thank you.
Appearances, not listed on the agenda, city council meeting, Jamie DeBacker.
Good evening, council members and mayor. I wanted to come forward with you all as Main Street. So Warrensburg Main Street as a 501c3 nonprofit, we do work with our state organization to collect statistics every quarter. And our Economic Vitality Committee and board thought it would be great, rather than me just reporting that once a year to you all, then starting to come more often, not just myself, but our board members coming to express to you, so you guys know the work that we're doing in downtown. And it's just great to have that, since we're already collecting the data. Why not go ahead and share it with you all? So I do have our third quarter statistics with us for downtown Warrensburg. So I'm happy to say that we recorded over 1,080 volunteer hours just in that, which is usually our slower time. I'll put in air marks for us, although most of our things we do are the farmers market. We did see over $130,000 put into private investments into 6 different businesses, which includes the Next Door Agent, Shaw Accounting, Pet Lovers Lane, Bitters, Grain Truck Delicatessen, and Sports Central, whether that was windows or painting or flooring. All these businesses are actively making their spaces in those historic buildings more and more beautiful for them to last longer throughout the years. We did invite 3 new businesses into downtown in the third quarter. So we welcomed Aflac, who moved into the second floor of the Masonic Building. Wired Graphics, which moved out into 111 North Holden Street, and then the Ginkgo Hut did open in the back of Tranquility, which is considered a micro business for us. But we did have 2 of our businesses, one closed, which was Woodchucks, and Central Nutrition did move out. So we've attended many trainings over the last few months. We actually were just in Washington, Missouri for a quarterly training with Missouri Main Street as well, talking about economic ecosystems and entrepreneurialism. So we're actively working and doing training. So we just wanted to continue to share our statistics with you guys to let you know that not only are we working hard, but the businesses around are working hard and every day in downtown Warrensburg to share our appreciation with the historic buildings that we have, and just keeping them updated. So I just wanted to come, and you'll be seeing more of us. We'll just be presenting probably every quarter and coming to chat with you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate seeing the holiday lights up already down the street.
Yeah.
Yes, we did add 20 new garlands, which left up. I failed to know that they didn't have plugs on them, so we're gonna figure that out. That's our next situation, is to figure out how to light those up. So yes.
Great, thanks, Jamie.
Such great work. Thank you.
Miscellaneous matters from the mayor or city council. I was just gonna mention one thing for the future, which be with all the construction going out on Hale Lake Road, DD Highway. I've had a few people suggesting there should be a light maybe at Mitchell Street and Hale Lake, or Mitchell Street, DD Highway in the future, school buses, all the new housing going down there. It's a pretty busy intersection certain times of the day. I don't know how we start that, where that goes, but if you ever go on that side of town in that area, there's certain times of day it's really hard to get out of there. And traffic's moving pretty fast. Plus, we have a bike trail you're trying to cross over there. So just a point of discussion in the future. Anything else? Anybody else? Nope.
Nope.
Thank you. City staff updates, item 13. Community development.
I have nothing additional.
Lucky you.
I'm
You
happy
got
to
it.
answer questions.
All right. Item 13.2, city staff updates, fire department, October activity report. Chief Jennings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The monthly report for October is in your packet. Just a few things to point out. We've continued to see an increase in our call volume this year. We're already exceeded since last month, 1,500 calls. So up 14% roughly this year. That's stayed pretty steady. It's up about 30% from 2 years ago. We've seen the highest increase, about 180 additional calls over the last couple of years, for fire related incidents and around 300 and, rescue and EMS calls. So, we're looking at a couple of those areas on the why. One on the fire side is just the increase with more fire alarm systems. We've increased our response to fire alarms, whether legitimate or nuisance alarms, and kind of a way that we can be a little bit more proactive in preventing those. And then we fixed some of the system problems we were having with the EMS response and what we go to and how that's dispatched and coded out. So we've seen that increase there just because that process has become more efficient in identifying those calls that we're going. So seeing a reduction kind of month to month in our emergency response time. I really think that has come back to our new record management system and being able to capture better data than what we used to be able to do and differentiate what types of calls were going on. So any questions I'd be happy to answer. That was October.
Did you get your new fire people?
Yeah, so the two additional full-time positions, those offers went out, both were accepted. So one will start November 18th. The second one was an internal applicant. He's finishing fire 1 and 2, which should be finished up by the end of January, and then they'll come on then.
Great,
Yeah.
Great.
great news.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item 13.3, city staff report, city clerk.
That's me. Thank
Yes,
you.
it is.
I haven't been filing a report as meetings go on. But this meeting, I definitely wanted to bring to your attention the draft declaration of candidacy that will be published in the paper. The city will be for instance, I believe this is our one meeting for the month of November. So the next meeting will be right before the declarations begin. The signups begin December 10th. So I just wanted to make you aware, we do have 2 positions available come April. So put that on your calendar if you're so inclined. The second item is the registration for the Missouri Municipal League Legislative Conference, which is held in Jefferson City. The registration period is open now. So if you would consider that in your schedule as well for February and let me know. I know I've received one RSVP already, so and another. Okay. So keep that keep me in mind and let me know so I can get those registrations started. The third thing that came through last week that didn't make the staff report was the public portal is now open. So the public portal, if you'll recall, is connected to our Laserfish software that was part of the grant process that we received. It's for our long-term and permanent storage of records. Well, as part of that, once you get all of that information in your repository, you can turn on switches to allow the public to be able themselves to search through those records. And so at this time, we have minutes, ordinances, and resolutions dating back to 1856.
Wow.
That city staff may utilize as well. So the community will be made aware of this and how to access this in the coming months. I'll work with Jessica on a communications portion for Facebook. I know that in the newsletter coming up in January, we have already put in an article for that. So that'll be for those history buffs, and for anyone who wants to check on the history of a certain project, they can do a keyword search, Copper Ridge, for instance, Copper Ridge, and then all of that can be pulled up in one place, and then they can go into the documents if they choose to do so. So
Who did all the indexing?
we did through a template that we used. So all of that came in through that. So it took a little time, but it's all there. So
It's just a little bit.
I just
yeah.
wanted
I
to
know exactly.
It's a great
Yeah.
give you a
project.
heads up on that.
It's a great project. Thank you so much for everybody who worked on it.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yep.
sure. We
I'm
had
sure
lots
there's
of
some
help
good old, Doug, I'm sure there's some really interesting ordinances back in there too.
Oh, yeah.
back in the day.
So if we go on to the webpage,
So if you go onto our homepage, yes.
okay,
And at this point, go under city clerk. So government services, city clerk.
okay,
And you'll see underneath that topic, you'll see, actually, what does it say? I think it says public portal.
Okay, we just click on that,
And
away you
you
go.
click on that and you have everyone has access to it. So I encourage you to try it.
I will.
Yeah, and give me some feedback. That'd be great.
It's document center.
Oh,
Well, there's public records request, general proclamation request, and then document. center.
Document center, I'm sorry.
No, that's
Document
okay.
center.
That's
Great.
great, really amazing work.
Good. And
Thank-
we'll keep adding to that. I hope to get all the boards and commission minutes out there soon. That'll be the next phase of my project, so.
Great.
That's wonderful.
And I do have help. There's no doubt about it. The city staff helps tremendously, so.
Now, I would like to say I appreciated the great work that all the city staff is doing. Thank you all very much.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Anything else? We'll adjourn at 8:02.
Thank you.
Mine's Jane.